Good afternoon, race fans, and welcome here to the Bank of America 500, our 20th race of the debut season of the PCSRA Winston Cup Series. After today's race, we only have 6 more races left to go before we find out the 16 drivers that will battle out in this season's chase for the championship. Cody Smart, who's trying to run down Jacob TwoTwo for the points lead, is on the pole position, which the gap is now 17 points. We'll talk about the points in just a minute. Alongside of him is Jessica Miller, who is 7th in points, still trying to find victory lane for the first time this season. Jacob TwoTwo, as I said, the points leader, the driver that Cody Smart is trying to run down for the points lead. He is starting third, and alongside of him is Courtney Lynn, who dropped down to 32nd in the points, meaning she is now outside the top 30 in the points table. The good news is she's only 7 points back of 30th in the standings. So she's hoping to have a good run to get herself back in the top 30 in points to have that win count for a spot in this season's chase for the championship. As you look at the rest of the starting lineup, let's go over the points real quickly, presented by Golden Corral. Jacob TwoTwo and Cody Smart, I just mentioned, 17 points separate the two of them. 47 back is J Bouvier, who's third in the standings. B Tennyson jumped up 2 spots to 4th in the standings. Ashley Horton is 5th. A Crenshaw is 6th. Jessica Miller 7th. Monica Towns 8th. Betty Johnson 9th. And Samantha Grainger will complete your top 10. As we're going to go ahead and get these cars rolling off. An extra 5 laps than what we had in our Trucks and Busch Series race here this weekend. And that could make things even really interesting of who's going to be in the factor of this conversation, as it looks like the field is rolling off. Not sure what's happening with Jessica Miller, but she's getting caught up. Had some struggle trying to get off the false grid, but everybody's in good shape, ready to go racing here for 16 laps of racing. We had a sunny race in the truck race. They had a caution. We also had a caution in our Busch race yesterday. So I can tell you we're going to have a caution here in the Winston Cup race. The question is, when? We had it early in the stages of Trucks and Busch yesterday, but with an extra 5 laps, anything can happen as the Bank of America 500 is underway here at Papyrus. It's like Jacob TwoTwo looking to the inside of Cody Smart as we're coming to one of my favorite camera angles on this racetrack. The flyby of 40 Winston Cup cars. That's pretty cool if you ask me. Cody getting a little tight there. Jacob TwoTwo, former Monster Energy champ, as Cody Smart got up into the wall. And looks like we are so far so good. But coming into this left-hander, look at Jacob TwoTwo just get a heck of a run. He's going to drive by Cody Smart on the outside, but is the Altel Dodge going to fight back? He's only got one car pushing him, and Jacob TwoTwo made a brilliant pass around the outside to take the lead and lead the first lap. Of course, he's in the red and silver car this week. He'll be back in the black and silver next week at the Glen. That was an incredible pass by Jacob TwoTwo. Cody Smart's a former Foster's champ. Jacob TwoTwo, the most recent Monster Energy champ. That was a brilliant pass for him as Ben Erickson now takes the race lead. Ben Erickson, former winner this season, one of the drivers that is inside the top 30 in points. He is 24th in the points table. He is a total of 31 points ahead of 30th in the standings. That would be Michael Andersen. .43 back is Annie Thomas, who comes in this race at 37th in the points. And are we under caution? Yes, we are. Big wreck. Ashley Reynolds involved. Luigi Cadet's involved. He's had a tough season so far. Luigi Cadet. Michael Andersen going slow. Looks like he's got some damage to the Home Depot machine. Marty Stevens, careful there, son. And not a big wreck like what we had in Trucks and Busch here this weekend. I forgot to change paint schemes on Betty Barrett's car. Cody Smart has some left side damage on his machine, and Jacob TwoTwo is going to lead us back to the first caution. There's the gal we were going to mention, Courtney Lynn, as Courtney doesn't beat Jacob TwoTwo back to the line. But the caution is out for the first time today, as the field now will slow down behind the Pontiac Grand Prix pace car. While they do that, and I have a bad feeling we're going to have an incident under the yellow. Let's actually wait for them to slow down. We'll jump back, look at a replay to see what happened. And if there are some incidents under the yellow that we need to document, we'll document that now. Take a look at a replay that brought out the first caution, the early stages of the Bank of America 500 here at Papyrus. This is definitely not what Ashley Reynolds needed, as she was trying to battle with Cody Smart. And she's going to get turned by J Harvick. Cody gets into the wall, and J Harvick just missed the UPS Ford. P Albanus barely snuck through. And then Margaret Jacobs, I believe, turned Luigi Cadet in the inside wall as they were trying to avoid the incident. Let's look at the 45 car. Yeah, he got loose, and there was just nowhere for the 8 car to go. Margaret Jacobs just had nowhere to go and just couldn't avoid the Georgia Pacific Dodge. And how we only got away with a 3-car wreck, I will never know. So, as the caution is out for the first time here today at Papyrus, let's jump back to the restart here in beautiful Papyrus Motorsports Park. Getting ready to go back to green flag racing on lap number 7 of 16. That should give us 10 laps of racing go. We are also going to be nearing the midway point of today's race, as I'm not sure what is going on with my stupid Wi-Fi. Yeah, we're not at work, you derping hyena phone. Not sure what my phone's doing, but anyway. Jacob TwoTwo is the leader. We'll give you a full field rundown. Second is Courtney Lynn, Ben Erickson third. Fourth is Jessica Miller with P Albanus in fifth, who's 15th in the points, by the way. Sixth is J Harvick, Ben Tennyson seventh, Mia Watts eighth, ninth is Sean R, and 10th is J Bouvier, third in points. Zachary Taylor is 11th. He comes into this race a total of 24 points back of 30th in the standings. He's running in 11th. 12th, Betty Barrett. 13th, Betty Johnson. She will be leaving Bill Davis Racing to go drive the 43 car next year, sponsored by Aussie Shampoo. 14th, Brittany White. Elena Aurora, 15th. 16th, Tatum Wright. Brenda Eveline in 17th. Ashley Horton, 18th. Annie Winters, 19th. Kevin Joseph, 20th. Luke Knight, 21st. Monica Town, 22nd. Melissa Cooper, 23rd. She'll be going over to replace Betty Johnson at Bill Davis Racing next season. Maddie Crenshaw, 24th. Annie Crenshaw, 25th. Todd Montgomery, 26th. Brooklyn Carter, 27th. Marty Stevens, 8th. Annie Thomas, 29th. She'll be driving the 82 car next season in Winston Cup. 30th is Timmy Turner. Hannah Smith, 31st. 32nd, Samantha Grainger. Franco Seaman, 33rd. He'll be out of that ride after this season. Michael Anderson, 34th. Riley Anderson, 35th. 36th, Brad Lewis. 37th, Margaret Jacobs. Ashley Reynolds, 38th. Cody Smart, second in points, is 39th. And Luigi Cadet making his final start in the 45. He rounds out the field. Nobody out of the race, but Luigi Cadet has really had a tough season. He, of course, is dead last in points, and there's been some rumors he will be replaced possibly maybe as early as after next week's race at the Glen. We'll have to wait and see about that. And as I said, nobody out of the race. As we're going to come to green here at Papyrus. Jessica Miller is 14 points, by the way, ahead of the playoff cut line, barring if any of those drivers I just mentioned, Lynn, Taylor, Thomas, or Stevens. I also forgot to mention Stevens is only a total of 8 points back of 30th in the standings as we're back to green, because I forgot he fell outside the top 30 in points after last week's race at Hillside. I believe we're going to April. I did figure out the truck race. We're going to April. We're not going to Daytona. I think Daytona for them will be like, I think the second race of the second round for trucks. as Ben Erickson going to take the race lead. Of course, we still have all 40 cars on the lead lap as Erickson hit the wall. And Courtney Lynn, I believe, had the lead, but now it's going to go to Ben Tennyson in the 0-1, who restarted in 7th. He's all the way at the front, just like that. So we're coming to half distance here at Papyrus. Two-time winner Ben Tennyson trying to get his 3rd win on the season to break a tie with Cody Smart for the most wins this season. Right now we have 13 of our winners inside the top 30. Hannah Smith needs a good run. She is only 8 points ahead of 30th in the standings, the lowest of the winners inside the top 30 in points. Ben Erickson, as I said, 31 points ahead of 30th in the standings, needs a good run. Courtney Lynn trying to get herself back in the top 30 in the points, battling with J TwoTwo for the race lead. Or is it for second? Yeah, it's for the race lead. There's the 0-1. I was about to say, where did the 0-1 car go? And J TwoTwo just got in the wall, collected Jerry Harvick, and that's going to allow the 0-1 and the 4 to go around. Taylor's going to go up to 3rd. And maybe 2nd because the 0-1 went up the racetrack. So Zachary Taylor is going to go to 2nd place, and that's happening right behind Courtney Lynn. By the way, Taylor and Lynn are teammates, believe it or not, at Indiana Motorsports. Remember, Courtney Lynn signed a free agent deal with Zachary Taylor. Now Taylor getting passed by the 0-1. That's good for the 5 car. And this is also going to be good for the 5 because she's going to lead a lap here. And that's key for that machine. And I believe the 45 and the 8 might be off the pace because remember, the 8 and the 45 got in the guardrail on that inside retaining wall. Because remember, there are no safer barriers or walls. It is a guardrail. So we're past the halfway point here in the Bank of America 500. Courtney Lynn, Zachary Taylor trying to do their hopes of getting back in the top 30 and points a lot of good. Courtney just scraped the wall just a little bit. Zachary Taylor right behind. Of course, remember, Taylor is Courtney Lynn's car owner, and Zachary Taylor's underneath the 5. Looks like the 5 had a little slow entry getting off the corner, and that's going to allow Ponzo Albanus to fire right through the middle and say, thank you, guys. I'm going to take the lead, possibly. Ponzo Albanus, former winner this season. He is 15th in the points. He has a fairly good cushion between himself and 30th in the standings. So I think Ponzo Albanus, we might be seeing this 11 team in the battle for the championship. Zachary Taylor takes the lead, leads a lap. So he and Courtney Lynn have led a lap, and this is going to help their cause to get themselves back in the top 30 a lot of good. Annie Thomas slowly working her way to the front. That's another driver who needs a good run to get herself back in the top 30 in points to have her win at Phoenix count for a playoff berth as Zachary Taylor got up into the wall. Eddie Johnson, Courtney Lynn's getting more damage, and she's continuing to free fall through the running order. I think the handling's starting to go away on the 5, and she needs to get a good result here to stay in the top 30, and she's dropping back. Hope there's not a problem with Courtney Lynn. Looks like Tatum Wright's going to let the Kellogg Chevrolet get back in line. That's good. As Zachary Taylor looking for his 2nd win on the year, as we're going to have 6 laps of racing to go here at Papyrus. If you think we're done with road courses, think again. Next week we're going to Sonoma for trucks. Busch and Winston Cup are heading to Watkins Glen International at New York. We'll have a 5 p.m. Eastern time for the truck race. We'll have a 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time because I don't want to interfere with all the big races like Napa Fans channel and all that yada yada yada. Hope you guys will look forward to the Glen. Going to be a really exciting road course, and that could also play a factor in who's going to make the playoffs. As we are checking the back of the field here, Hannah Smith not doing her hopes any good. J TwoTwo dropping like a rock. They're nearly 4 wide. They are 4 wide almost. J TwoTwo went from leading to outside the top 20, and Annie Thomas is moving her way through the front. Cody Smart has passed J TwoTwo. There's a lot of damage on J TwoTwo's car, and he's dropping like a rock. And Betty Johnson just got around Zachary Taylor. Well, as soon as I say that, Zachary Taylor looking the inside as Betty Johnson will lead that lap. And now Jerry Harvick goes around the cat car. Betty Johnson was 19 points below the cut line. So a lap lead's really helped her. So we're going to have 6 races to go. Zachary Taylor drove it in way too deep. Got up a little high. He's going to get in the guardrail right there. And where in the world did Betty Barrett come from in the 49? She's coming in a hurry. Brenda Eveling just got up into the wall there. Samantha Grainger ran a little wide. Annie Thomas dropped back a little bit since we last saw her. Marty Stevens there. Cody Smart. So far, the field's being organized. We've only had the one caution, which was a 3-car wreck. Ever since then, and Zachary Taylor retook the lead, but don't look now. Betty Barrett is coming with 4 laps of racing to go. And remember, if we get a caution, this race is over. Betty Barrett is hungry for a win. She has yet to find victory lane. Zachary Taylor is trying to get back in the top 30 in points. Courtney Lynn still in 6th. That's still a good run. Cody Smart in 22nd. I don't know where this is going to situate. And Barrett has caught Zachary Taylor. And Zachary Taylor runs a bit high. Here comes the seam dodge of Betty Barrett. She'll be running a white seam car next week at the Glen. Betty Barrett came in this race 25th in the points. She's another driver a win would get her into the playoffs. What an incredible job for the BAM Racing Dodge. As we're down to 3 to go. Betty Barrett, believe it or not, has not won a race since, I want to say, Bristol back in the Monster Energy Series. That was a long time ago. You're talking about 2012, the last time Barrett tasted victory. And here she is driving the 49 machine. And she got up in the wall. I believe Taylor did as well. And now that's going to allow Jerry Harvick to catch up. And Harvick might drive it in there and take the lead. Yes, he has. But is Barrett going to fight back? The answer is going to be yes. Because Barrett got a nice run off the corner. Actually, no, she got a slow entry off coming off the corner. So if you're in the lead, you're not safe. J TwoTwo's dropped really far back. Annie Thomas last time by was in 27th. The only way she's going to move forward is if drivers ahead of her crash. Cody Smart battling with Senor Sean. We're down to 2 to go here at Papyrus. Courtney Lynn is already continuing to drop back as here comes Betty Barrett back underneath of Jerry Harvick. Zachary Taylor nearly touched the Interstate Battery Chevrolet. Careful. Betty Johnson nearly ran the back of Jerry Harvick. Remember, these two were part of Fitzwater's team. Well, when Fitzwater and I shared drivers. And I still don't mind Zachary Fitzwater sharing drivers. Zachary Taylor's doing his chances of trying to get back in the top 30 in points a lot of good. Because he's ahead of a lot of the drivers in the points table. As we're coming to the white flag, I don't think Betty Barrett's lead is safe, though. As we're coming to the white flag, one more lap to go, sponsored by Credit One Bank. And here comes Taylor. Remember, Taylor's looking for his second win to possibly solidify himself a spot into the playoffs. Barrett's trying to get a win to get into the playoffs in the first place. Zachary Taylor slid up. That's good. But has he... Whoa! Jerry Harvick got a little squirrely-whirly. Tried to stay off of Betty Barrett. Didn't want to take Barrett out of the conversation of winning this race. Zachary Taylor drove it in way too high. Think he's going to get in the guardrail right there. Yes, he did. That's going to hold up Barrett. Here comes Jerry Harvick to the lead. Jerry Harvick to the race lead. Jerry Harvick, by the way, won last week at Hillside. He's looking to go back-to-back. And he might have just done that. That mistake by Taylor might have just costed him a win. And Joe Gibbs Racing, who had no wins after the first 18 races, are going to go back-to-back with the same driver as Jerry Harvick is going to win the Bank of America 500. Talk about a driver who has had good momentum, becomes our second. Or check that, our third driver to get a win. And Jerry Harvick, who came into this race 13th in points, he'll be in the top 10. I think he might have just confirmed himself a spot into this season's Winston Cup chase for the championship. Betty Johnson will come away with second, so close to her first win of the year. Still a good points day for Betty Johnson, who came into this race in the 9th position. The points will stay in the top 10. Melissa Cooper will get third. Of course, she'll be out of that ride at the end of the year to make way for Betty Johnson. Cooper came into this race 16th in points. We're going to see this will get her in the top 10 of the standings. Zachary Taylor, 4th. He might have done it. Betty Barrett will get 5th. Taylor might be back in the top 30 in points, and that was definitely not what drivers like Josephine Bouvier, A Crenshaw, or Jessica Miller wanted to see, because that's 2 playoff spots possibly taken. Brittany White got 6th, and the other reason is Courtney Lynn got 7th. This will get her back in the top 30 in the points, because 7th was good enough to get her back in the top 30 for Courtney Lynn. Tatum Wright 8th. 9th is Annie Winters, and Ponzo Albanus will complete the top 10. He came in this race 15th in points. He's going to continue to build more and more of a cushion between himself and 30th in the standings. Kevin Joseph got 11th. Ben Tennyson 13th. Yeah, they're okay. Tennyson and Joseph, yeah, they were so far ahead of 30th in the standings. I think they should be okay. Todd Montgomery got 15th. He came into this race he had a nice little cushion. He was only 40 points ahead of 30th in the standings. I think he should be okay as far as that is concerned. Cody Smart, 21st, came in this race 2nd in points. This is not going to do his championship hopes a lot of good as far as catching J TwoTwo, who finished all the way down in 39th, so he had a lot of problems. As you look on down to the remainder of the finishing results, Marty Stevens, I don't think 26 is going to is going to do him any good. And he was only a total of 8 points back of 30th in the standings. I don't think he got the job done. Annie Thomas, I think Annie Thomas is in a must-win situation with a 29th place finish. Ashley Reynolds, 30th. She was a total of, let's see, she was 393, 350. That's 40. She was 41 points ahead of 30th in the standings. That number is going to get smaller. Ben Erickson was 32nd, and that's going to be borderline for him as far as that's concerned. Hannah Smith, I think Hannah Smith might be out of the top 30 in points with a 36th place finish. And then Jacob TwoTwo did not have a good result. He came in his race as the points leader, and Riley Anderson rounded out your 40-car field. All 40 cars finished the race and on the lead lap. Nobody was a lap down or out of the race, but I don't know who will take the points lead between Cody and Jacob. Maybe Josephine Bouvier might have something to say about that because she finished ahead of both of those drivers. So the points have just gotten shaken up again. And Jerry Harvick, who was on a cold streak the first 18 races, he might have just confirmed him into the playoffs with 6 races to go. Next week we're heading to Watkins Glen International. Should be fun. We have the Sonoma race for trucks, Busch and Winston Cup. We'll go road course racing again at Watkins Glen. Should be a lot of fun. Hope you guys enjoyed today's race. If you did, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to become part of the PCSRA crew today. We showed your full finish results. Your point standings are down in the description heading into next week at Watkins Glen. Until then, I be DeVol signing off. Goodbye from Papyrus. We'll see you next week at the Glen as you've been watching yet another broadcast of PCSRA TV where champions are made since 2010 and 15 years as the best in racing around the world since 2017.